Hey everyone, I've decided to make a surgery walkthrough type video for people that will be having their hysterectomies in the UK through the NHS. I know not all experiences are exactly the same, but I thought it'd be quite useful as I know a couple of people that are due to have their hysterectomies within the next year. So I'll start off with the night before. I wasn't allowed to eat anything after 12 o'clock at night, so I had something to eat. I think I had a yogurt and some fruit at around 11:30 at night, and I wasn't allowed to drink any fluids after I think it was between 6 and 7 in the morning. So I think I got up at 6 o'clock and had a drink of water, then a glass of water, and then I think about 6:45 I had another glass of water, and that was it then until surgery. So we travelled to hospital in the car, and I got there for around 7:45 and I had to be on ward for 8 o'clock. So we went up to the ward. I had a bag with me. I'd put a couple of pairs of pyjama trousers in there, some t-shirts and my toiletries and things like that, and a book to read, and my MP3 player. So when we got on the ward, they didn't have a bed ready for me because it was really early, so they asked us to go and sit in the day room. So me and my mum and Wayne, our friend, went and sat in the day room and waited. They checked that I hadn't eaten or drank anything. Then someone came to tell me that I was first on the list for surgery, so I was due to have my surgery at 9 o'clock. I was due to go down to theatre then. It was about 8:10 by this point. So a nurse came to get me, and my mum and Wayne stayed with my stuff in the day room. I was taken to a therapy room to get changed. So I got changed in there, and then my anaesthetist and surgeon, my consultant, both came to speak to me separately, explaining the operation, explaining the anaesthetic, asking if I had any questions. I had to fill forms in, the disclaimer forms, saying that I understood the risks involved in surgery and the anaesthetic. So I got that done. And then another nurse came, who happened to be someone that I went to school with, which was interesting. Luckily she knew about my transition anyway. But one thing I didn't mention is that my original consultant, before I got changed to another one, had arranged for me to be on the urology ward rather than the gynecology ward, so that I wouldn't feel out of place, which was really good of him because I didn't even need to ask for that. But if you feel apprehensive about being on the gynae ward, being around women and whatever, and feeling out of place, then I suggest speaking to your consultant or a nurse or somebody when you have your consultation, and request if you can go on the urology ward instead. It worked out really well for me. So yeah, this other nurse came that I knew. She's actually a friend of my ex's, so she knew all about my transition. She weighed me, measured me, checked my piercings, which I'd changed for plastic ones, but she put some tape on them anyway, to save them coming loose and falling off. And then it turned out it was time for me to go down for surgery, so I went into the next room and said bye to my mum and Wayne, gave them a hug, and the nurse took me down to theatre. I actually felt strangely calm. I think I hadn't had enough time to feel anxious because I was the first one in that morning. So we got down to the kind of pre-op room, spoke to the pre-op nurse, They went through a load of checks with me again, swapped all the information over, did the handover. I got onto the bed, and then the nurse that took me down there left me with the pre-op nurse, and we were chatting for about 10 minutes because the surgeon was kind of, I think he was late coming down from the ward, and I saw like parts of the team, the surgical team, going in and out of the theatre. My anaesthetist came down, so I said hi to him again, and they were all really, really friendly, happy people. The pre-op nurse was making me laugh. I just felt really relaxed. So when the surgeon turned up and all the team were assembled ready, I was taken into another room, which was another like pre-op kind of room, where they took my blood pressure, and they were really surprised to see that my heart rate was really low. Like, I've got quite a slow heart rate anyway, I've been told I've got an athlete's heart rate, but they were quite shocked that my heart rate was really steady and I didn't seem anxious at all, until they put the oxygen mask on me, and then my heart rate started to rise a little bit. So they put the cannula in and explained what would happen with the anaesthetic, which I was familiar with anyway because I've had it a couple of times. I was told that I'd get a cold, kind of achy sensation in my arm as the anaesthetic went in. They didn't even get me to count backwards, I just kind of disappeared. So yeah, that was it. Nothing until I've got a vague memory of being in a recovery room, although it's not really, it's quite hazy, I don't remember much about it. Next thing I remember is being in another room, having a white plastic stretcher put underneath me by, I think it was like 4 people, and they slid me onto a hospital bed, and that was a little bit uncomfortable. I remember that being fairly painful. I think then they explained to me that I was attached intravenously through my cannula to morphine, so I was able to administer doses of morphine to myself when I felt pain. So I did that then, because I felt really uncomfortable. It was then that I realised that I had a catheter attached, which I knew was going to happen anyway, but someone had tugged on it by accident, and that was a little bit uncomfortable, as you can imagine. And I remember thinking, if I'm attached to this catheter, do I know that I'm peeing? What happens? Do I have to try to pee, or does it just come out, or what? I remember having that thought. And then next thing I remember is eating, or trying to eat, just being really kind of like dopey, and my head kept going down, and I was gradually getting through this food, but then I started feeling a little bit sick, so I couldn't eat anymore. Can't even remember what the food was. I think there was a yogurt involved. And then I must have drifted off to sleep. I remember waking up in the night, again being confused as to why I was in a room on my own, not really knowing where I was. Carried on pressing the button. I really made use of that morphine button over that night. So I pressed the button for a nurse to come in and said that I was starting to feel a little bit anxious, and I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't really understand where I was, and she said that I was on the ward now, but I was in my own room, which was cool, which is something that I'd hoped for. So she brought in a fan for me because it was really, really hot. Like, this summer's been crazy so far, and I was starting to overheat, and that was making me feel anxious. So she brought a fan in and pointed that at me, talked to me for a little while, calmed me down. I went back to sleep, woke up every few hours to people checking my blood pressure, doing the observations. The next morning I felt okay. A few other things were explained to me. I had my catheter taken out. I got up to go to the toilet. I felt okay being mobile, just a little bit wobbly. It didn't hurt, although I made sure I pressed my morphine again. The nurse from the day before came to see me, and I said that I'd rather have the cannula taken out and have oral morphine, rather than having the intravenous stuff, because it was uncomfortable trying to drag the IV thing around to go to the toilet and things. So they did that. Still had the cannula attached to my hand, which was pretty minging. I'd started to itch quite a lot from the morphine, and that was really starting to annoy me, so they put in something or other, some kind of antihistamine into my system through the cannula. On top of that, I also took some antihistamine tablets, so I felt better after that. My mum and Wayne came to see me in the afternoon, so that was cool. I didn't see anybody in the evening, but I was quite out of it anyway. By this point I started having 3 meals a day. The food was great, they had a gluten-free menu. The nurses were helpful every time I called for them. My consultant came in to speak to me, the surgeon, and checked my wound and said that he was really impressed with how it was healing. He also told me that I'd only lost 100 millilitres of blood during the operation. Another thing, when I came round that morning, when I woke up, there was like a sanitary pad thing next to me, and I had been told that I would have to wear one of those for the first few days to catch any blood that came out after surgery. So I put that on, but I didn't bleed at all, and I haven't bled since, so I've been really lucky with that. Didn't have to have a drain attached. So yeah, I had 3 nice meals a day, great nurses, everybody was really supportive, had visitors every day. My mum and Wayne and my dad and his girlfriend came, my friend Amanda and my friend Hazel came as well. So I just felt really good, actually. I started to take tramadol and paracetamol, as well as the Oromorph on and off. Which unfortunately, painkillers do tend to make me quite constipated, so I wasn't allowed to leave until I had opened my bowels, which took a few days, and even then it wasn't like any kind of substantial amount, but it's not the nicest thing to be talking about, but you'll want to know. So yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be bad anyway. I'm quite a positive thinker, and I expected it to go really well, but I'd say it went even better than I expected it to. The ward was really clean. Having my own room was great. People came in to clean that once a day. I had my sheets changed a few times. I was only in there 4 days. Yeah, even the staff at night, when I got up, in the middle of the night to go to the toilet, I did wake up near enough every hour, but the painkillers helped to get me to drift off again, or even just to take my mind off the fact that I was awake. So yeah, since I've been out, I've taken the dressing off my wound, and that's fine. I've got soluble stitches, so they will dissolve by themselves. I don't need to have them taken out. It is healing really well. I've had some discomfort in the way that I feel quite heavy in that area. It feels the way that area does before a period, if you can remember that far back. I mean, luckily, as soon as I started testosterone, I stopped having periods, and that was 4 years ago, so it's quite interesting to feel this way again. I've had pains due to constipation, so I've been having syrup of figs, drinking lots of fruit juice, been having fibre. Yeah, I've had a few nerve pains as well, actually. When I was getting out of bed, the first couple of days when I got back, really, really bad pain. But that doesn't always happen. I think that was where a nerve had been damaged and it was repairing itself, which I was aware would happen after having my chest done, because as the numbness went away I started to get kind of shooting pains along the wounds where the nerves were kicking in again. So that's it really. I'm 9 days post-op now, feeling pretty good. I've got to take it easy for 12 weeks. For the first 4 to 6 weeks I'm not really allowed to lift anything, so I'm taking it easy, which I found to be a difficult thing to deal with to begin with, but I've kind of let go and resigned myself to the fact that I'm going to have to chill out and maybe just do more creative, gentle things for the next 3 months or so. So all in all, it's a pretty straightforward operation. I do know people that have had more negative experiences with hysterectomies, but I think that's a rarity. I've been very lucky and I'm very happy about that. So I'll just show you what the wound looks like now. If you can see that. Check out my PJs. There. So it's not too bad. It is quite a long incision, as you can see. You can still see the stitches in there, but this side has healed up really well already. So yeah, I took the dressing off a couple of days after I got home to let some air get to the site, because it's been pretty hot. So yeah, that's it really. I hope that's been helpful, and I'm going to make another video about this, which is more to do with the kind of spiritual aspect of it all. As quite a few interesting things happened leading up to and after my surgery. So I'll speak to you soon. Bye.